As you can see with the title of the video, we have a question. It's going hopefully spark a discussion in the comments or in your mind at least, as all these videos do. But for this one, it's more, asking yourself and asking myself, is it healthy to use fear as a motivator? Is it a right action or mindset or belief to follow? This is what I'll be discussing my point of view, and then go ahead and discuss yours in the comments or in your mind, however you want to view this. How are we going to determine what fear is? Everyone has different fears. In my mind, when this whole phrase comes to mind, using fear as a motivator, I instantly think about death, right? The reason why I think about death is because death makes our life so precious. Because without death, life would have a lot less value to it. Because anyone and everyone would be alive forever, right? If there was no means to an end, what would be the point? I think the means to an end allows us to give our lives more value. So for me, if someone says, "What are you scared of?" I'm not scared of death. But if someone says, "Are you going to be using fear as a motivator?" I say yes. I use death as a motivator, and the fact that, as I have preached before, we don't get these days, again. So this day today, I won't get ever again. So to make the most of this day as much as I can, that's a motivator because I know I'm going to cease to exist eventually, right? So using fear as a motivator, I think it's good to establish an example, right? So we have this death example. That's just one example I've just given on how I use fear as a motivator, right? Other ones, maybe you may suggest that someone may be scared of the ocean. I'm quite scared of the ocean. I think it's the fact that it's so vast you can't see below you if you're in the ocean. Depending where you are, some I know obviously clear is frightening, right? It's not our natural habitat as a human. So to be in it and not be in the most adequate situations for our species is quite scary, right? From my point of view. So I fear using this fear as a motivator is to do it, push myself because I know we all know here we discussed many times your comfort zone is limiting you, and so if I'm comfortable by not going in the sea, if I go in the sea, that's going to make me grow a bit, right? Grow mentally, physically, mainly mentally, and defeating these invisible battles and barriers that no one can see but you. You can feel them and see them in your head. So this is another example of how you can use fear as a motivator. And the question all revolves around: is it healthy to do this? Is it healthy for me to use this death example again? Is it healthy for me to be like, right, I am gonna cease to exist eventually? Is it healthy for me to use that as a motivator? Personally, I don't see why not. I don't I don't let it get me down that I'm gonna, eventually disappear. If anything, I've managed to flip it on its head and use it as a motivator, like I've said, as a positive. So I think being able to flip this negative into a positive has helped me do more, grow more. Because if you like I say, if you're constricted in on your comfort zone, of course you're not going to grow as much. So me using this death example again and being able to just do anything and more because I know that I'm going to eventually not be here and make the most of today, most of tomorrow, and most of the next day. Perfect, right? And that's all I can ask for as a human, really. I'm doing more, and therefore I feel like I'm living a more fulfilling life because I get to experience more of life due to the fact that death is approaching. I'd like to hear what you guys think in the comments, or even if you don't think, hopefully it sparked a little discussion in your own head. I'll leave you with a quote as always. This one's by Clement Stone. Thinking will not overcome fear, but action will.